Okay, my name's Emily Benke. I'm the student co-chair of the Green Liaisons, and Francis Karani there is the staff faculty co-chair of the Green Liaisons. And if you don't know what we are or what we do, we're a working group of the Sustainability Task Force, from the school Sustainability Task Force. And every month we host a lunch that features an environmental initiative, or more than one, like today, that's around campus or the community that maybe you wouldn't have heard about before, or that you wouldn't have that much information about otherwise. And then you can just get like a personal touch from it, like a personal talk. And the idea really behind Green Liaisons is that you come from a specific organization or department, or maybe you're part of a certain group that you can bring that information back to and be able to share it with everyone else, because obviously we're a small group here. But we still want everyone to know about this information, obviously. So yeah, and then before I forget, I always forget. So obviously there's a bunch of food back there, a little bit, but there's those water bottles and bags, which you're more than welcome to take whatever you like. And then you can take anything. And then so today we have 2 speakers for you. Usually we just have one, and today we were like, it's Earth Month, so let's do 2 because that would be more fun. So today we have Zach Platsis first, who is UD's current energy manager and previously was an energy consultant at SSOE Incorporated. So he has some experience with energy, and he's going to tell you about UD's initiative for their solar panels and their solar array, and he's going to tell you more information than I know about it. But and then next we'll have Brenna Goggin from the Delaware Nature Society, who's going to tell you about their clean water campaign. But I'll just come back up and tell you about her. So first we have Zach Platsis. So thank you.
So.
Oh wait, do you need this? Yes, do you need this?
I can just talk really loud.
Loud.
So I'm going to give a quick overview of the solar arrays we have on campus, talk a little bit about the wind installation on Lewis campus, and then give a quick overview of some of the sustainability initiatives or energy efficiency projects we have going on at the university. So this is a pretty short talk, so I'll get up and out of the way real quick and move on to the more interesting material. But please feel free to ask questions. This is a pretty open, informal presentation. So if there's questions either on topic or any energy-related questions, please feel free to ask. So some of you may or may not be familiar with the solar arrays we have on campus. They were installed in 2011, or at least completed in 2011. There are 3 installations on campus. Actually, let me take a quick pause here. There's one file I did not open that I should have to give you an idea of where they all are. They were not. Okay, so here's the campus map. Okay, so we have 3 installations. There's one up on the top of Clayton Hall. We have one at 461 Wyoming on the roof there, and then the most visible one is the one on the Delaware Field House. You've likely seen that one. Okay, so those are the 3 locations. It's 850 kilowatts total between all 3. That's the nameplate capacity, which we'll talk about in a minute. On average, it makes about 1,000, combined, it makes about 1,000 megawatt hours of energy. And just for perspective, in case you don't really have a feel for that, the average house uses about 11 megawatt hours per year total energy. So this is about 100, equivalent to powering 100 homes. And for a little bit more perspective, the average annual UD load is 150,000 megawatt hours. So these solar panels contribute just less than 1% to our total energy usage for the year. And to life to date, project to date, since about early 2011, they've made about 4,300 megawatt hours. So each installation, the first one, the most famous, is the Delaware Field House, of course. It's about just shy of 400 kilowatts in total size. These are SunTech 270 watt modules mounted on a rack that follows the curvature of the roof there. There's about 1,500 of them, and there's a single large 330 kilowatt advanced energy inverter. Now, in a couple slides, I'm going to get to something that's an important point. But do take note here, the difference between the total nameplate capacity of the array and the actual AC output capability. We'll get to that in a second. We'll do a little solar education at the end of this for those unfamiliar with it. The second array is at 461 Wyoming, which is very difficult to see from the street because it's a zero tilt array that's very close to the roof, so you can't really see it from the ground. But it is about 300 kilowatts, just slightly smaller than the field house array. There's about 1,100 modules, same module, large crystal solar panels. There we have a 260 inverter, and then again, note the difference. Questions, comments, interests? Okay, the third one is on Clayton Hall. So this one's a little bit small, at 160 kilowatts. There's actually 3 separate arrays because of the multiple pitches on the roof there. So we have 3 separate inverters, quite a few panels. This is a non-ideal array because a couple of these actually face east rather than facing south. So this is the lowest production array of the 3. This one's also this one you can sort of see if you're looking for it, but not quite as prominent as the field house array. So that sort of summarizes the 3 arrays. Now, an underutilized or underpublished resource is there's actually, all right, so let me step back. So we have these arrays are implemented here at UD via power purchase agreement. By show of hands, how many people are familiar with power purchase agreements? A couple. Okay, so somebody else actually owns the arrays. We lease the space on the roof, technically. There's a legal arrangement for the space on the roof. Standard Solar installs the array, maintains the array, it is their array, and we purchase the power from the Standard Solar at a premium over what we normally pay. As part of that deal, Standard Solar has a website, a dashboard site that gives real-time data and life project data on the array. So part of my mission here is to get this website out there so you people can use it and disseminate it to your friends. This is the actual website. It's not very user-friendly, so I made a tiny URL for it, which you can feel free to write down, or I can maybe get the slide deck out. But to give you a taste of it, this is it here. Unfortunately, this is sort of a low resolution projector. So in the standard dashboard kind of gives you the sense of what's there. Feel free to go to it at any time if you want to get data or see what it's doing. There's additional project information here and some photos for each unit or each array. Live data, a little bit of solar education there. But a thing to note is it's a pretty good day for solar outside. It's 6:10. It was at 6:50 earlier. It's a taste cloudy today, but today's a good day in that there are periods of low clouds. Wednesday was actually a great day. No clouds. It's nice and cool. You want it cool to make a lot of power. So the cell temp is really low, so we're actually making some good power. But this maxes out at about 650 here, 650 kW. Slide over. All right. So you can check in here at any time to see what the arrays are doing. The thing I do want to note, because I recently looked at this a little bit more closely, this here is, I guess, perhaps up for discussion, how they're actually calculating this thing, but I do want to make a point that what they mean here at least, and I don't know if any of you are actually interested in this, but I just looked at it this morning, it didn't make any sense to me at all. That actually what they mean here are home days. This is not 34,000 homes, it's 34,000 home days. So divide that by the number of days that the array's been in operation to get homes. So it's a bit misleading. It is not 34,000 homes. Okay, so this is a website we should all visit, and you can at any time get solar info. Oh, presentation. Yeah, you can put it on carports. That's a good use of the space, because it is a little bit difficult to find rooftop space suitable for rooftop arrays. Get over here. Here's another site. This is an internal site. This one's a little bit still under construction, but has up-to-date information on certain buildings and their electricity usage, and also the arrays. This is not quite as real-time as the standard solar website, but you can circulate those websites, URLs, and feel free to visit them. Okay, so a couple basics that you may or may not know, but in any solar discussion we need to talk about these things, and it's important if you're truly interested in sustainability that these are things you really understand about solar, even if it's just at a high level, just so you're not confused by numbers or propagating misinformation. So the first thing to note is there's a big difference between the panel rating, or the DC nameplate capacity of the array, and the inverter output, or the AC output, which the power we're actually using at the outlet, let's say. So in general, as I noted in the previous slides, there's a big difference between how big we say the array is and how large the inverter was. So we say there's 850 kilowatts of solar panels there, but really we never get 850 kilowatts out of the array. So that's a big thing in solar. Arrays are always stated in the DC nameplate capacity because it makes it sound much larger, but in reality it doesn't. An array will never actually make that much power. So that's sort of an important thing to know with policy efforts, or talking about solar, that nameplate capacity is not a good indicator of how much power or energy the unit's actually going to make. So the second piece is, any questions on that? Yeah, okay. The second piece is power versus energy. So the panels are rated in how much power, the instantaneous power it could make, but in reality what we need out of it, what we use out of it, the value out of it is the energy it produces. So there's a big difference between the two. So not only do we get much less power out than the nameplate says, but in the end of the process, you don't get as much energy as you might expect out of a system of that size. So just to talk, I don't want to be too technical here, but so the instantaneous maximum power versus the energy it's going to produce. So let's say this is an 850 kilowatt system, nameplate capacity, but in reality the most we can ever make is 650 kilowatts out of it, so about 76% of that. So with a normal generation plant, let's say if it's a gas turbine or any power generating plant, it can operate continuously. So there's 87 to 60 hours in a year. No plant's going to operate for full 87 to 60. Let's say it's 8,500 hours or 8,000 hours. So you take its nameplate capacity times the number of hours it's going to run. That's how much energy we get out of it at the end of the year. Whereas with solar, the case is very different. Not only do we derate for how much energy we're getting out, power, but it doesn't really run at that max power for very long. And any given day, it's only at that max power for, let's say there's a half-hour window under ideal conditions where it's actually making that much power. So you go through a series of back-of-the-envelope calculations, and you say, oh, about for this area, it runs at that power about 1,200 hours a year. So that's an important thing to remember when thinking about or calculating how much energy, the effect a solar array is going to actually have on your results. Any questions there? Mild interest? Okay. And then just briefly, another solar item that people may or may not be familiar with is grid tie versus islanding. So the vast majority of solar arrays out there, including ours, especially large solar arrays, are grid tied, which means we work in parallel with the grid. But a side effect of that is if the grid goes away, then the solar goes away as well. That's part of the UL certification of the inverters. So even if the sun's up, if the grid is gone, we're not generating any power. There are systems you can put together with battery backup or that would work in what they call island mode, but those are mainly sort of residential or very small commercial. It'd be very difficult to make into a large building. Questions, comments, interest? Yes.
Could you just explain like the derate process? Like why is it actually 20% lower, 25% lower?
Right. So, okay, the first piece is why you would do a small inverter is for that, what I had mentioned that, so these are 270 watt panels. They're rated at 270 watts. That's the maximum power they could make. But they only make that at the perfect condition. So 1,000 watts per square meter, nice cool panel living in isolation, not in a string of other ones. There's no dust or film or anything on it. So ideal out of the box, out of the factory, it makes 270 watts. It's never ever going to make that much power. So the first thing is off the top, you say 10% off the top. I'm not going to make 270 watts. There are electrical realities of installing these things in strings together. They're installed in series. So there's there's 11 in each string to get the voltage up. So not all panels are identical to one another. So this one makes a little bit more current than this guy under this condition. So they all make, imagine, is the least amount of power out of the string that they can. So there's one crappy one, well, they're all crappy now. So panel mismatch gets into it. So and then there's just electrical losses as well, current ratings and devices between the panel and the actual inverter. And you don't want to design the inverter to, because this is expensive, these are very expensive pieces of equipment. So even if I design this as perfectly as I can, and let's say it makes 1 megawatt, just for enough time, it's really, if that's the most it can make, let's say it makes that 10 hours out of the year. At best, it's going to make 1 megawatt. The most of the time, it's going to make less than 950. To incrementally get an inverter that captures those 10 hours might be tens of thousands of dollars. So you'll make a decision to give up that 10 hours of extra capacity for a more reasonably sized inverter. You're going to capture 98% of your production. So that's a design choice, but it's a reality when you're designing this. So all of those things sort of contribute to what you're going to get out at the end of the day. That make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So those are sort of the basics. So carry that forward whenever we're talking about solar. Hearing about it, don't be overly excited about arrays when they just describe them. It's a 1 megawatt array. That doesn't mean what you think it means. Okay, just briefly, we'll touch on the wind turbine as well. It's another renewable energy source. It's a 2 megawatt Mesa G90 down at the Lewis campus. It's very big. It actually produces a lot of energy. It's a well-installed wind turbine. Certainly not just for looks, as I thought when I first came here. So this one also has a really great website. Oh man, my ear just popped. Okay, but I can hear much better now. Okay. So much better. Okay, so this is a website here. It'll be in the slide deck. Has anyone ever been to this website before? Okay. So it's got all the info on it. It does have the current conditions. Actually, earlier today I was making over 2 megawatts, so it's pretty impressive. It must be pretty windy down there. I've never seen it in person myself, actually. But this is a great resource. Also, in a PPA arrangement, but legally far more complex than the standard solar. But you should know this website. There you just jumped up 25 miles an hour. So, any questions on the wind turbine? I don't have quite as much info on that, but similar, to think about it similarly to the solar panels, that when people say, well, it's a 2 megawatt turbine, it doesn't always make 2 megawatts. This is pretty good about making 2 megawatts a lot of the time, but similar to solar, you have to consider when it's actually making that peak power.
There seems to be legal issues with their.
Sure. People don't like things put in that.
But they also seem to create a lot of energy that the community could use.
Yeah.
It's beneficial, other than to a few birds.
Sure.
So, since they make so much energy, I don't understand why they can't persuade people to have them in some location.
That is a very good question. I cannot answer that question, unfortunately.
They're popular in crappy places.
Right.
California Mountain,
I've
California
been to some
Mountain.
neighborhoods that are very windy.
Yeah.
It's like you walk out on the porch and like, this would be a great place to have some energy.
I think people in general just, they like to complain about things. I don't, I think wind gets a bad name, but I would think it would be anything.
Well,
Although people don't complain nearly as much about cell phone towers, so those they don't. I think they don't know about them. They're not as public.
And I
Verizon
take
can just
vaca-
slap up a
And I
cell
take
phone.
vacation on a location where the national government shuts down cell phones for 26 miles. Every time I go on vacation, my phone doesn't work, and all the teenagers complain. No one else does, but every
Right.
teenager I'm on vacation with. We go skiing and you can't use your cell phone for 26 miles. It's been that way today. So,
Yeah, I think, that's a problem. Education, over the benefits, and just, I don't know, behavioral problems with people in general, just like
so and I find it, I guess the reason I brought it up is there's only one there. When I go somewhere else, I see, five.
Well, this is more of a research, sure, this was not an investment,
Yeah, I
in
understand that,
production, so-
but I have a feeling if they tried to put more than one up, it would have been
it may very well be, I don't know if there's space down in football, but right, sure, there may have been neighborhood issues they had to get over.
It's
NIMBY,
it just seems.
The installation, this was before my time, so.
Yeah, there's on the news every time someone mentions it, you have protest.
Yeah,
Zach, if you
Yes,
want,
I gotta go.
no, you're good,
Yeah.
but I just was gonna say that we had, was that February, I think,
Yeah,
we had a lunch, and we invited Jeremy Firestone, who's a professor and researcher, and he helped to develop the wind turbine, and I just wanted to say, part of what he told us was that they did, numerous studies for public opinion, and I think now the public opinion is largely positive from what I can remember, I think so. So I think in this case, maybe media makes it seem like it wasn't that positive, but from their studies that he at least told us about, I think that the town has been, there's really only a small percentage of people who find it that bothersome.
Yeah, it seems that most of the people noticed, and it was like, oh, it's not that much of an effect on me, and
Right.
and then it's like, oh, it's a point of pride though at the same.
Yeah.
So they kind of
So
like that.
Yeah, they do. I think it's changing a little, but I just wanted to say that. So that was it.
No,
But,
that's a great point. So, anyway, just one last quick thing here. So there's two different things that we're coming at it. Okay, anyway, just to give you a little bit of background on other things going on now from the energy management shop perspective. Big project right now is a sub-metering project, so we're sub-metering the main energy users on campus, which is about 16 buildings and utility plants. All utilities, which is going to give us a better picture moving forward of where to target energy improvement projects.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by sub-metering?
Sub-metering, so putting meters in to meter electricity, steam, chill water. So right now, we have one large electricity meter that sends electricity to a lot of buildings, let's say 15 buildings. And we pay that one meter. We don't meter individual buildings, well, we do, but it's not to this level. We meter how much energy that specific building is using. Like a big problem is we got the giant steam plant here, but we know how much steam goes out, we don't know where it goes necessarily. So this is gonna help, not just reduce energy usage, but identify maintenance issues, hopefully preemptively identify issues. So this is a big component, because like, you can't manage what you can't control what you don't know. So you have to get the data first, and then you can truly control it. A couple of boiler plant performance improvement projects, energy efficiency. A couple outside air reduction projects, which are lab fume hood control projects. Those are going to be going on in the next year, let's say 12 to 18 months, and then we of course have some additional lighting projects and lighting controls going on. That kind of sums it all up. And then questions in general? Energy or anything? Yes.
So there are no plans for additional alternative energy sources on campus, like expanding solar or wind turbines, or no, not so much right now?
No. We're economically reasonable, or it makes sense. We would do that, but right now, the best use of the money we have is in reducing the amount of energy we use. First identifying where it's used and then reducing it.
Well, is it kind of vaguely related? We're a little USDA lab on South Campus, and we're on an energy performance contract. Mortgage your energy bill. I'm sort of the facility guy there for the quarantine, and we're looking at putting up a carport kind of solar or something like that. Looking at the options. It's mostly like LED lights is what they love to do, but this kind of stuff.
What building is that?
Stearns Insect Lab.
Okay.
Come visit the quarantine if you haven't been.
Okay.
Biocontrol.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to know more about that, yeah. Okay. Do you have a question? Sorry,
I
go back.
don't know if this is funny to me, but generally speaking, what is the school's interest in future development and construction, things like that, as far as LEED certified buildings? And I know there's sort of a focus on renovating the existing infrastructure. but-
Yeah, so for new construction, the standard is to design to LEED silver, sort of across the board. We don't necessarily get LEED certification, but all the way through the design process, we carry the LEED checklist too, so we design to LEED silver in general. That's not new building. On renovations, there isn't a similar rule other than to say we work very diligently to maximize the energy efficiency of those projects. That's kind of it. We go to her first. I want to go in orders unless you're ready to start. If I go to you.
Well, I'm just realizing that your position is fairly new, isn't it?
It is. I've only been here since May.
Yeah, and have you made an
Last year.
impact? Are you finding they're responsive to your suggestions and everything? or-
Yes, I think there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. I think it was a big step to hire an energy manager,
Right.
create the position, 'cause it's a brand new position. They recognize the need for that. Because it's not just energy efficiency, it's managing the energy. We buy a lot of energy, both with electricity and natural gas. So, yeah, I think we're making great strides. I think the sub-metering project, I think some of the energy efficiency projects we've lined up, we're poised to, I think in 3 years, we're going to have saved a lot of energy. I think in 18 months, we're going to be in a much more mature position than we are right now. We're at the very beginning of any energy management on campus.
Okay. Do you have
So-
a big staff to work with you or anything?
No.
You're just it.
I have all of the university
Right.
at my disposal.
That's a big job.
Yes, it is. It's exciting.
Well, I work in a building that is really bad, and that the facility has apologized. Will these help out, the boiler and all that, or is it not going to help the problems that we?
Let me say, very politically minded answer would be, the sub-metering improvements, I'll say, would allow us to have a better picture of how energy usage is going, what's happening in the building from an energy management standpoint, and that might help us solve some of the systemic problems, or at least identify where they are more specifically. But will it help every comfort issue in all the buildings? No. And those are big, and systemic, you are not alone. But part of what we're doing as part of the energy management project is, what we call retro commissioning buildings. So that helps that situation, it'll help identify where problem areas are and maybe weed some of those out, get some of those out, or at least identify what projects will help improve that. Because a lot of those problems are stemmed from repurposing of areas. You're in an office, it used to be a lab, or it's a lab, it used to be an office space, and the HVAC was never properly set to deal with that situation. Or it's been poorly maintained for one reason or another, or a lot of Band-Aids have been put on, and we never came back, because there's just so much going on at the university. So the short answer is no, I can do nothing for you. But the long answer is, I hope to make those situations better, and at least identify what we could do to improve. So sorry.
From your experience working with sort of a larger, or largely privatized, big sort of institution, how do you see the largest push towards more sustainable, renewable energy? Where do you see that coming from? I would assume more of a financial perspective rather than a sort of, I'm coming from more of an environmental concern side, but with like a university this size or institution, do you see that sort of future move towards better energy usage because it's economically efficient, or do you see it kind of moving forward?
The university is certainly committed to sustainability, but energy decisions are driven mostly by economics. But sustainability and economics are not necessarily add-ons. But sustainability is also more than just buying renewable energy, because it's a very expensive way to get to sustainability. Much more effective use of those dollars is reducing the amount of energy we use, and using the energy we do use as efficiently as possible. But the short answer is it's driven mainly by economics, unless there's some other, specific driver. Because we do pay a premium. It is reasonably expensive, and we buy a lot of electricity.
Do you see the largest changes happening in energy reduction rather than absorption?
Yes. Yes, and that is sort of the sole purpose of life, in the near term, is to reduce that, because there is a lot of waste. So our time and resources and money is much better spent reducing that, cleaning up our energy picture, as opposed to just, because buying solar is pretty and sexy and people see it, but it really covers up fundamental root cause issues. And really, in terms of mindset, it's more difficult to get your sustainable mind around how do I use the energy more efficiently than say, well, I built this brand new thing, I spent $1 million on a big shiny object that we can look at. But really, fundamentally, it requires behavioral changes to really save energy. Does that make sense?
I agree with you on that. I've worked here for like 25 years, and I don't understand why students will open the windows in the winter time and let the heat out, and the heat just keeps pumping out all night long. And,
There are
and
local behavioral issues, are also control problems in certain spots.
Right, and pick up the phone and call and say my thermostat doesn't work, a mechanic comes out and fixes it, and then you can adjust your thermostat.
Yeah, ideally.
Yes, the mechanic will fix it. Even if you have 20 of them on the same floor, the mechanic will fix 24 or 20 thermostats. I've seen them do it.
Yeah.
Because I've called in 20 at one time.
You should
I
put
know
together a campaign to go advertise that to students.
I mean, I have actually seen them fix 20 at one time,
Yeah.
and all 20 out of 30.
Right, no, PD mechanics are working their tails off, and
And,
they really
yeah,
do
and
fix
the
stuff.
other thing is that, I understand, like, I have 4 siblings. My father, if you get up and that light is still on when you left the room, you come back and turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, we have to have motion detectors for someone to turn the light off.
Yeah,
And so we're spending a fortune on motion detectors, but if we don't, we're wasting electricity. So we have to.
yeah,
So, I mean,
a
we
lot
have
of
to
it
change
comes down to
behavior.
behavior, so as people put sustainability campaigns together, what do you really want to do to influence sustainability? A lot of it is influencing
And the thing is,
everybody's behavior.
I have to say this because I also have employees, and I talk to them all, and with them all the time, and it comes summertime, they started acting like customers. They'll take the air conditioner and turn it on 66. And I'm telling them, you can't do this. And I'm going behind them and turning it back up to 78, because you're gonna break this, then we're gonna have to have a mechanic come and fix it, because it's gonna freeze. But you're correct, behavior is what wastes the energy.
Yeah, whatever you can do to put a campaign together that addresses those types of issues, that would be very
It's
effective.
solves
I mean, that's a
a lot of
good
our
expenditure
problems.
of money and resources there.
And our mechanics need to be busy doing something else than fixing what we cause the problem. But they can't, they
They'd
will,
love to hear you say that.
but they will change the thermostat. If you call, they'll come out.
They will fix it, yeah, absolutely. Now, I do want to be conscious of calling in our next speaker's time. Are there any quick questions that we need to?
And you can also, are you gonna hang like a
I
second?
suppose you can contact me afterwards.
I'm
for
so
additional
interested.
questions, Yes, I will
Yeah.
pass some of these out. Okay.
But thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Zach.
Thank you.